Esther Space provides an expose on topical issues by experts for everyone on health, economy, technology, humanity, security, art, and culture. Esther Space, a platform that promotes equal opportunities for everyone, irrespective of ethnic, gender, social, cultural, or religious backgrounds. Join Esther Nsom live every Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook and other social media. Esther Space, a platform by the people for the people. Racy, exciting, incisive, and analytical. Join us. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Esther Space. It is a pleasure for me to have you here today after 2 months of vacation. Thank you so much for keeping the commitment. Today is the beginning of season 2 of Esther Space. And we are glad to announce to you that we have in our honor somebody that is not just experienced, but very talented and deep in the subject matter of today. He's going to be addressing a topic that is really, really controversial: matrilineal succession. A topic that has brought a lot of tears and at the same time smiles to some families across rural communities in Africa. It looks like a leveled platform, but there's a lot of roadblocks in it. Today in the studio is an expert that will not only melt the roadblocks for us, but will also get us to a deeper understanding of what actually underlies this topic. He's a member of the Constitutional Council of Cameroon Anthropologists with 46 years of teaching in high-level universities all across the globe. And what's more about him, he's the first literate member of the Nkwi in the Comland, the northwest province of Cameroon, to have made it possible for Nkwi to start recruiting literate members in 1974. Now, I know as I'm saying this, others are already asking themselves, but what is Nkwi? Honestly speaking, I don't want to tell you a lie. I only know that Nkwi is a term that is associated with royalty in the land of Nsom. And we are honored today to have a direct representative of this, of the Nsom fandom that will analyze and get us to understand deeply what Nkwi is all about and what underlies our topic, matrilineal succession. Those of you that are culture lovers, you definitely have a lot today on your plate to take home. So stay tuned. Thank you for your patience, dear viewers. And here with me in the studio, as I've already promised you, is someone that is in actual fact honorable. And I am pleased to introduce him to you today. I'm thankful that he was able to find time within his very, very busy schedule to make it here with us. Professor Paul Nchoji Nkwi. Thank you so much, Professor, and thank you for honoring my invitation to Esther Space.
Thank you for inviting me to float some ideas concerning a very crucial issue and controversial as well. Thank you very much. And I hope we'll be able to educate some people who have some misconception about a practice which is based on science and biology.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Professor. I know that what I told the audience about you definitely is not enough. A lot of people have been eagerly waiting to see you here. And I would not want to steal that from you. I want you to please say to the audience, say a little bit about yourself to our audience before we start.
Yeah, definitely. I have a background in philosophy and theology, and I went on to specialize in anthropology, a subject that I became dear to my heart. At the beginning of your introduction, you talked about the Kwifon. The Kwifon is the traditional government of the Kom people. And it has the prime minister who is called the Bobe Kwifon, and several notables who are in charge of several functions. For example, the royal household economy, which is managed by a branch of Kwifon, the diplomacy, for example, which is also managed by some members of the Kwifon. Therefore, it's actually, it is a government. And you know, when the British introduced the indirect rule, it was the basis of the understanding that the people had really fashioned their own governance system. And the indirect rule just meant if they found something that works, there's no need replacing them. We should normally use them. And the British colonial masters used the Kwifon and all traditional governmental institutions to rule the colony, and rule the Kom as a colony. Therefore, 1973 and 74, I began to study what Kwifon was. And I decided to become a member. The Kwifon will not have 4 eyes and not 3. Because always in the common way, I always say the Trinity. The wine, Afojina, the Nkwi. That is food, the child, and prosperity. Another 4th, by my admission, was that the Kwifon could now read the white man's book. The Kwifon have the logic or departments. I was admitted to the supreme group called the Kwifon the Kwifon of the night. That is probably composed of just a few people and not more than 7 or 8 of them. And probably I was honored on my graduation to belong to that prestigious lodge of the Kwifon.
I'm sure we're definitely going to come back to this because it's really, really interesting. You're saying things that I've never really known, like the Nkwi for Ntu. And I was going to ask you, like, is there a Nkwi for Nchoji? If there is, what's the difference? But I'm going to hold that for now because there's just so much I want to get from you. So, you are widely known, Professor, as a true and living example of experience and expertise put together in both your political and educational careers. It is hard to actually describe your role in a contemporary society because it is vast and detailed. Now, I know you just started sharing a little bit about yourself and the quick point, and I can already see that coming. I would like for you to carefully let our audience know what matrilineal succession is.
Actually, matrilineal succession attempts to make consanguinity the principal factor in succession. Consanguinity means blood ties. And therefore, he who is on the throne must be of one blood with his predecessor. For example, the conforms picked only one from the brothers of the same womb, right? Or the brothers of the same sisters. The tracing of our genetic origins is always through our mother. Matrilineal means rule of the mother. Paternity is not taken, it's given. If a woman doesn't say, this is your son or your daughter, you're nothing. Yes. She is the giver of life. And they know the origin of life. Right? Therefore, the paternity is given and not taken. The woman cannot, the man cannot assert, this is my son, or this is my daughter. No, it is the woman who gives. Right? Well, the function of marriage is the process of which a man acquires paternity. He goes to court, he signs that the woman he is marrying, all the children will belong to her.
Okay.
Even though she can have the kids, right? Paternity is purchased. And that is why we have the bright wealth, right? And actually, the bright wealth in matrilineal society is not so much expensive, but the bright wealth in the patrilineal society is enormous. Why? Because in patrilineal society, the price of asserting and acquiring paternity is higher. In a matrilineal society, it isn't. Minimal resources can actually suffice it.
Why so?
I am told that in Israel, if you don't have a Jewish mother, you cannot have a Jewish citizen. Why? That is the mother is, takes in the village. When the child is born of a woman, and everybody have the empirical proofs that she came from that womb. In the patrilineal, it is guess. Right?
Right.
One of the chiefdoms in the grass field don't have matrilineal succession. They have a patrilineal succession, but they have a strict rule to ensure that the king is the blood. The next king is the blood of the deceased king. For example, when the new king is the fawn, he was given probably 6 brown new wives. And then he is locked up for a couple of 3 to 4 months. And therefore, the 6 women, if they get pregnant, the boys born of that period is considered to be biologically the king, and they will constitute prospective kings. But in Nkwi, it isn't. We have seclusion also for about a couple of months, but not to breed the next form, because all the women tracing bloodlines coming from the born of the same womb are considered to produce successors.
That is serious, serious math right there.
Men is considered the cul-de-sac of the lineage, because men do not produce members of the lineage. It is women. No, therefore, for the more women you have in the lineage, in the clan, the more the lineage will expand. So if you have only boys and boys, look, that means that lineage is going to run out of existence. Income, women is the extension, the vital force, the vital extension of the lineage growth.
Okay. So are we talking about royal succession here, or we are talking about
every succession income?
Succession income. Okay.
Come people follow their mothers.
Come people follow their mothers in the succession process.
For sure, because she defines your rights and obligations. If you want to claim a title or property, you must trace it to your mother, to a woman, and that woman must be related to the owner of that property.
Okay.
Wine na womb, na wine bo womb. Actually, it relates different concepts.
Right.
And therefore, probably they don't share wine boom, the wine na womb. Hey, it's like day and light. I mean, day and night.
So in other words, you're saying the wine Naom is stronger, far stronger than the wine bone.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because they were nurtured in the same womb, in the same blood, and given life by the same woman.
By the same woman. Okay. Now, but listen to this. As I was getting ready for this conversation, I had a chat with a couple of people, and I noted about two of the statements that these two people made. I want to bring them to you and hear what you actually have to say about that. So the first person I spoke to made this statement. He said, matrilineal succession is devilish and sets communities and families apart. I don't understand why this even has to be a topic of discussion anywhere. I'm curious to know what you have to say about this statement coming from someone that lives in an area that practices this kind of succession.
No, I think that the person doesn't understand the nature on the fundamental principles on which the matrilineal system is based. Take, for example, we pray to Mary, right? Mary was the mother of God, right?
Right.
How would it be devilish? And the angel announced the birth of Jesus to his mother, right? The common people are breathing problems, the same theology and the same philosophy. It can't be devilish. But one remark I will say is that every system can be abused, whether patrilineal or matrilineal. But that there has been abuses in matrilineal, yes, as well as patrilineal. Because the egg, I mean the selfishness of man probably leads you to lose the fundamental principles that make us men and women. I'm born in Nkwi. I believe in the matrilineal, and I adore my mother because she gave life. And if given life is devilish, I don't know what then that person is talking about.
Okay, I may just want to, expand on this a little bit because after making this statement, he actually went ahead to state that he really thinks, he gave a couple of examples, but I could just give you one. He actually mentioned that in a situation, why he's actually saying this is devilish is because in a situation where somebody is no more, they push his children on the side, push the wife on the side, and then they bring somebody from, and they call that person the mother's sisters or whatever they call them to come and take over whatever that person might have worked for with his children and his wife. So, according to this person that made this statement, he's saying that this is devilish because of that kind of thing. How can somebody work so hard and then all of a sudden the wife is thrown off, the children are thrown off, and then they go and get somebody from nowhere to, So I guess that's the background from which he was talking. He actually mentioned that.
Yes, the common matrilineal or matrimonial rules stipulates that when you marry a woman, you must give her property in land or any resources. It's the common rule, it's the common law. Amala we wafu against full properties and wine van le lema na kung se bale luam ni. That means the principle that once you marry a woman, you give her landed property and the woman holds it intested for her future sons and daughters. But the property which he has, probably property which he has succeeded, for example, compounds that have become burial sites. If you build a compound, for example, in the US, right? Sure, or you buy the compound in the US, it belongs to you and your children. But the common rules stipulates that the man must give the woman the resources, and especially landed resources, that the kids will fall back to, but not the compounds where they have buried. If your husband built a compound, he buried his mother and his sister, the common rule says no, that you cannot give it to the child. But because the rule says we must give landed property. Okay? But if the landed property was not sanctified by the blood or the burial of the mother or of the sister, he can give it, he can actually give it to his sons.
What are the precise places that a man can actually hand over to the son or the wives?
Let me be clear on this. Every property or property houses that are built in the cities or elsewhere, I consider as the resources that the man constituted this for his children, whether a house is Yaoundé, Bamenda, etc. To me, for example, Bobe Joa, he actually he stuck to the common principles of which I've actually explained. He built a number of houses, and the houses in Limbe and Yaoundé were given to the sons, and even the one in Com. But the traditional home where their mothers and the cousins and people were buried were given to his brother. And everything was absolutely clear. But once Bobe died, the guy began to think that all this house is because of my matrilinealness. I will going to no. And I think the basic principle today that all houses built outside belong to the wife and the children. There are lots of greedy cousins or lot of greedy brothers of the deceased. Let me use one case. My father built a compound. When he died, the brother took over because what we call fraternal succession income, that is for titles and houses, if the person dies, is the brother that succeeds. The fraternal, what I call fraternal succession. So my father died. His brother took over. And then when the brothers were no more, the nephews came in and started selling the land and even sold our own compound. Yeah, there's a lot of jealousy, there's a lot of greed, it's a lot of things that goes on, and especially when you have somebody who has a little bit of resources. Even to succeed, you must Hopefully, I will be a key a tenant with both, and it's a problem, right?
That's right. So thank you, Prof. But there's one thing I like about what you're saying, that you're acknowledging the fact that there is this greed among the among the people in traditions that actually practice this, because like you rightly said at the beginning, it looks like this matrilineal thing was never going to be a bad thing anyway. But then the way that some people have carried it along is what is causing the trouble. Now I want to take us to our next statement from another person I chatted with, who said the practice of matrilineal succession has made some folks lazy and less ambitious about creating a future for themselves. They wait to inherit the wealth of an uncle or brother who worked restlessly night and day, building a family for himself, wife, and children. Now, he ended up by saying, but what about the wife? When this lazy people and whoever rushes there, what then happens to the wife? What then happens to the children? I know you started touching on this already, but I would like for you to continue on that, because I can see that it is it's quite serious.
Definitely. I don't think that everybody deliberately sits back and waits for his uncle to die so that he succeeds the compound. No.
Like he didn't say every, he said some folks.
Yes, yeah, I don't think that everybody deliberately.
Yeah, some.
Probably in terms of the rulers of Com, because practically most of the rulers of Com virtually never have the compounds, because they were royal compounds to which they were attached, and they were supposed to reap the resources. For example, maybe Mbam Fuldu Nyajwa na Njuna Lufni na Bebo and Tote. That attitude is no more current today. I don't think that as young people, nephews will sit down just to wait for an uncle to die, and no, I don't think it is correct, because I have noticed that every young man in Com wants his own property. He works to have the kids, send them to the school, have his own coffee farm, have a business to be instead of sitting and waiting. No, I don't think. I think maybe that this is not current today.
That's right.
Maybe the women will change it, because basically most women now, like you, would not want Sir Chabo. Right?
Right.
Probably right. The women can actually change some of the negativities of the system, because the system, the matrilineal system, is based on the women, and they can help us to wipe out some of the negativity.
Wonderful. And I also like the fact that you are acknowledging that unlike before, the young people are thinking differently. Most of them are thinking differently and trying to, to approach their own lives in from a more positive point of view. Like you rightly said, not just sitting down and waiting for someone, to do it for them, but they go out to work and take care of themselves and their families. Now, that takes me to this question. It's kind of general. I want to ask you. You have, carefully put this side by side. But if I were to ask you, what would you say are the advantages of this practice? Because I'm still curious. Yeah, you've mentioned some, quite a handful of some positive things. I want to know if there are any specific advantages why communities should hold on to this kind of practice. What are the advantages of it?
See, the marriage system in Com obliges the husband to give a number of resources, right? And those resources that are given to the woman belongs to her children. Once a person marries in Com, the obligation falls on the man to give a certain amount of property to the woman,
Right.
which is destined for her children. And usually it is landed property. This is the good thing. If a Com girl marries somebody in the patrilineal system, the boys or the children have a double advantage. The children will have double advantage.
Okay.
In which case, he can succeed with his father in the patrilineal system, and he can also succeed in the mother according to matrilineal system.
But I'm looking at a situation where somebody is normal and the children, for example, so what happens to the schooling of the children, the education of the children, their health needs?
The problem is that the successor must continue to educate the children. But most often than not, they don't do that.
I'm glad you said that.
Yes, they squander those resources. But actually, the woman itself, the widow, is also part of property.
Did you just say that? What does that mean?
Yes. For example, if the woman, the dowry came from the lineage of the man.
Okay.
And she bought, because actually dowry, I've always said, the purchase of fertility, right? To ensuring the woman to give us children.
Children, right.
Right. And if the person, because actually the husband is the manager of the fertility that was purchased by the lineage, technically speaking.
Okay.
So if the husband disappears, we have to bring in somebody to manage this fertility resources. And that is why the successor must chap the bowl.
What if you chart the bowl and there's nothing in the bowl? What do you do?
Whoa, what do my child?
Tell me.
Ma Abu Atena.
Well,
the bowl says always full. There's absolutely no. What I'm saying, and theoretically,
it's a figurative bowl you're talking about.
Yes, a figurative bowl. It's not really the physical bowl.
Okay, so now I get it. Okay.
Yes, as I say, the bright wealth is used to purchase fertility,
okay.
And the husband manages that fertility, and he produces children. If the man disappears, dies, the woman can still produce from another person that the lineage have identified.
Hey.
And that is the one who is charging the bosun.
This is serious. So the woman will just move on to another person like that, whether she likes it or not, right? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, technically, because the new successor, once the successor has been appointed, and he dances, the successor dance around the courtyard, once he finishes all the property, the land, the children, and the wives belong to him. But I'm only saying, the basic of principles. This is what it means. It means. So, therefore, some young wives, because the uneducated Jundo is not fit up to the standards. And some of them just say, you cannot charge my boss.
Now you see why I said I'd rather let the audience you know. No, this is interesting. Yeah, it's a serious issue, and like you are explaining it already, which is a situation that can really be tough for the woman to, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it can really be difficult.
We're trying to analyze, as some of our cultural principles and whether they're right or wrong.
Right.
But this is what it is. And one thing is that the woman is also considered as part of the property to be inherited. Like, for example, when the new fund is enthroned, he inherits all the wives. Maybe, I don't know whether you should look up the book in one of the libraries in New York, written by Rebecca Rye.
Okay. What's the name again, Rebecca?
Rebecca Rye. R-Y-E-R.
Okay.
And she wrote a book called The Faun and His 100 Wives. She came and spent 6 months in the palace, and the Fointe actually wanted to marry this. And she was absolutely flabbergasted. How that women, hundreds of them, in a palace of about 200 houses, that women, where the newspapers abroad in London and in New York were portrayed as if women were slaves. And Rebecca spent 6 months and wrote this book. And it's fascinating. I actually met her in New York with, and she was really fascinated when he saw Rosaline, because I went to see her with Rosaline. He said, hey, she has never seen a educated woman with a PhD, etc. But one thing, this is one thing that the UN spent some time. They debated. Probably you may be way in the 60s, debated on how one person could have 100 wives. And the only countries that were supported was probably Afghanistan and probably Iran, right? Really was. She came here to meet disgruntled women, help captives. She found a different climate. And even the Faun wanted to marry her. Yes, exactly. Rebecca probably, 6 months in the palace.
That must have been very embarrassing to her.
Absolutely.
Right? When I was growing up, I used to hear that those women were not like dated normally, like women and men date today. Like they just went around the villages and just select. You see any girl that is a little grown, you just say you're going to be the wife of a fund, then they grab the woman and put her to the palace. Is that true?
That was actually our function. That was really the function of Nchizondo.
Oh, then
because it didn't occur the way people try to characterize it. No. When the Nchindo identified a beautiful girl in a village,
right,
they will proceed by going to that compound and with camwood wood and paint the doorsteps of where that woman lives, and the camwood indicated that we had found a royal bride, and then the father or the mother will be required to bring this pretty girl to the palace.
So was there any dowry paid, or they just pulled the girl away like that?
For sure, there were gifts. There were certainly gifts, because actually, if your daughter was selected as one of the princesses, your social status was kind of.
So was the girl's opinion sought at any point? Or
the girl's opinion was not sought, no? They lived happily. But don't compare with dating. No, that's out of the question. The book, the book must be found in one of the probably the Metropolitan Library in New York.
I would love to read that book.
Because let me say, have you been to Metropolitan Museum in New York?
Yes, I have.
Have you visited the ethnographic region?
No, that's the area I do not go to. Yeah, but I will definitely go there.
Now, if the ethnographic section of the museum is, there are 2 carved objects at the entrance. If you go there, it seems as if those carved objects are speaking to you. Wow. Because it is property of the Com Kingdom.
Is there a fox there?
No, it's not there. No, Bang never went to. Maybe later on. But what I'm saying is that the ethnographic museum, they had 2 face masks, and if you look at it, you just say it's come. Wow. Even before reading the fine print. And then when you go out, there's a whole section, the Gebauer section. Gebauer was a missionary in Belon and Bingo and probably some of the areas in the Northwest, and collected a lot of it. I spent time there and enjoying it.
Wow. This is amazing. Amazing historical facts. What would you like to tell our audience, especially to those that had some kind of misconceptions about matrilineal succession?
Succession was the reason that split the Tika groups.
Oh.
And later on, for example, when I talked about the brown new wives and the chiefs, it was another way for him to solve the problem, a succession problem. But actually, the common people, after the debacle in Babasi, was led by the woman, because the common leader died in Babasi, and the leader that led him all the way to Lycom was a woman. The three lineages that arrived in Lycom, Itanala, Ndotiticha, and Nkwi. And Nkwi was led by this woman whose sons became rulers.
I am really, really honored today to have you, and I thank you so much for your time. Dear viewers, I want to thank you so much for, for your commitment to this platform. Thank you so much also for your patience, and I hope that you have a wonderful evening. And I'll see you here again next week, Saturday, same time. Thank you so much, and thank you again, Professor.